Buenos dias, class. Today we are going to be talking about equivalent fractions. Very important before we begin. Equivalent means equal to or the same as, so don't get scared of that big word. All right, one more thing that's important. Whenever you multiply a number by 1, like 3 times 1, you know your product is going to be the same as your original factor. Okay, so 3 times 1 is still going to be 3. All right, 50 times 1 still going to be 50. Okay, so the product is going to be the same as your original factor. And if we have, no matter what the kind of number is, it can be 3,254. If you multiply that by 1, you're still going to have 3,254. Don't forget my comma. Something else you already know, if you have a fraction and your numerator and denominator are the same, that means it equals one whole. So if you have a fraction and you have 2 out of the 2, you have the whole thing. That's 1. It equals 1. And of course, we can do this with any fraction. If you have 4 over 4, 4/4, that also equals 1, excuse me. So if you have 4 pieces and you have 1, 2, 3, all 4 of them, that equals one whole. Great, now that we got that out of the way, let's start making some equivalent fractions. I'm going to start off with the fraction 1/2. We're going to try to find an equivalent fraction for 1/2, and I'm going to use multiplication to do it. So we have 1/2, and we're trying to multiply it by something. Now we don't want our value to change, so we're going to multiply it by 1. So is there a fraction that we can multiply that is equal to 1? Of course there is. We can think of one easily. I know 2 over 2 is equivalent to 1. 2 halves is the same thing as 1 whole. So really, if we're multiplying by the fraction 2 over 2 or 2 halves, we're really just multiplying by 1, if you think about it. So let's go ahead and multiply straight across. We have 1 times 2 equals 2, and 2 times 2 equals 4. And there you have it. There's our equivalent fraction. 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4 because all we did was multiply by 1. Just to double check, let's go ahead and look at this as an illustration. According to my denominator, this circle should be split into halves, and this circle should be split into fourths. So let's go ahead and do that. This one is split into half, so we got 1, 2 sections, and this one's going to be split into fourths. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. Now this fraction says that we have 1/2, so I'm going to shade in 1/2. Sorry, I'm not coloring inside the lines. And this fraction says I have 2/4, so I'm going to shade in 2 out of the 4. And as you can see, just like we learned previously, 1/2 and 2/4 are the same. In other words, they are equivalent. They have the exact same value. We're going to use 1/2 again to try to find a different equivalent fraction. So we have 1/2 times, and we're going to multiply by a fraction, but our fraction has to equal 1 because we know that when we multiply by 1, you get the same value. Your factor stays the same. So let's do 1/2 times 3/3. 3/3 still equals 1, so it should be an equivalent fraction. Now, if we multiply 1 times 3 to get our new numerator, and then 2 times 3 to get our new denominator, our answer should be 3 over 6. So that means that 1/2 is also equivalent to 3/6. Let's go ahead and model this. So we have this one is split into 1/2, and this fraction is split into 6. So I'm going to try my best to break this into 6. I think I did a pretty good job. All right, and so now for my fraction that is 1/2, I'm going to shade in one of the two. Okay, so that's 1/2. And then for this fraction, I'm gonna shade in 3 out of the 6. And as you can see, these fractions are exactly the same. They are equivalent to one another. Let's do just one more example, okay? If I have the fraction 4/5, all right? And I'm trying to find a fraction that is equivalent to 4/5, I know I'm going to multiply. And I know whatever I multiply needs to be 1. Okay, so I'm doing 4/5 times 1. So what fraction equals 1? Well, I like doing 2/2 because it's really easy for me to multiply, because I'm really good at multiplying by 2. So now all I have to do is say 4 times 2 is going to give me something, and 5 times 2 is going to give me something. So let's figure out what our new answer is going to be. That's pretty easy. You already figured it out. 4 times 2 is 8, and 5 times 2 is 10. So my new fraction is 8/10. Now, if you look here, you'll see that I've already set up our model. All we have to do now is shade. So to shade in 4/5, I'm going to shade in 4 out of the 5. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4/5. Shake this whole thing in. And then same thing here. We have 2, 4, 6, 8 out of the 10 shaded in. And now you can see very nice and neatly that 4/5 is indeed equivalent to 8/10.